Hey, it's Jason here from InternetBusinessMastery.com, and in this video, I have something a little bit special for you. It's a branding case study. We're going to talk about some very specific things that you can do on your site in order to magnetically attract your ideal audience, get them to stick around, connect with them with your content, so that in the long term, you make money by building up that relationship with them, having an impact in their lives, earning their trust, and of course, then they will buy your products and services. Now, as you may know, I moved recently to Paris, France. And if you've ever lived abroad, you know that it can be a little bit unnerving, a little bit stressful being a fish out of water, being in a place where you don't know all the nuances of the customs. Now, I do speak French, but it doesn't change the fact that, there's still lots of cultural things I don't know. And sometimes I run into specific situations where I don't know all the phrases or language that might get used or the context of one word versus another. So anyway, it was in that frame of mind that I went to Google to search for a question that I had. And that was, how do I get a haircut in France? I wanted to make sure I wasn't going to get some, crazy haircut that wasn't going to be what I wanted. And so when I landed on this page, I started reading, and she started telling a story of, I know what it's like. I've been abroad in other countries, and I was sitting at the hairdresser having a panic attack, not knowing what kind of haircut I was going to get or how to explain what I wanted. She's saying, I totally get it. So I understand why a lot of people are asking this question. So I'm going to answer that question here in this video today. So that's one of the first things I want to point out here is she uses a personal story to empathize. In fact, she even says right here, I have a huge empathy for the panic attacks at a hairdresser abroad. And we've talked about how empathy is one of the most important things you can have for your marketing and connecting with your target audience. So I love her use of a personal story because I found myself in that story and I knew, okay, she knows what it's like. She's going to answer my question really well. And of course, then I watched this video right here. And the video was perfect. It gave me specific phrases, told me what to expect, answered the question the way that I needed. And so I had a lot more confidence when I went to the hairdresser. And so immediately I had a connection with Geraldine, the hostess of this website and this web show right here. And a bit of trust was built because she had helped me answer a key question that I had as an expat in France. And so, of course, I stuck around to see what else I could find. So let's talk about some other specific branding things that she does really well. So coming over here to the homepage, right here on the homepage, you immediately get a look at the title of the site, which is Comme une Française, which means like a French woman, and her tagline, which is Live in France, Feel at Home. Now, this is really interesting because I think that's such a perfect, concise tagline. It often can be very hard to come up with a tagline that doesn't sound markety-ish, that doesn't sound like it's a marketing line, but that, really speaks to the desire of the audience. And so the title of her site is Like a French Woman. So that's speaking to a desire. It's like, how do you do things like a French person? Now here she's saying like a French woman because she's very specifically targeting women. But at the same time, she answered a question that I had as a man, and I stuck around despite the fact that she's targeting women and learned something from her website. But I love this tagline. That's exactly what her audience wants. They love the idea of living in France, whether they're there already or whether they're thinking about going there in the future. And when they get there, they want to feel at home. So it's just a nice, concise description of that desire, that need that the audience has. Now, you might be wondering, is that okay to have a French tagline or a French title when she's targeting English-speaking avatar, English-speaking audience members? And here's what I say about those kinds of things. When you use, jargon or another language or technical terms, it's okay to use them if you know that your target audience is going to understand them and it's going to speak to where they're at or what they understand or the level that they're at. And so it's very clear when you look around the site that she is targeting more intermediate level French speakers. And so being an intermediate French speaker myself, I knew immediately what this meant. And I think that's actually perfect. It works just fine as a title for the site. So you do want to be careful about jargon and other languages and things like that. But if it fits your audience, it's perfectly okay. All right. So after seeing a title and a tagline that spoke to me, the next thing I did, and this is what your audience is going to be doing too, is I started looking at the titles of some of the latest content right here on the website. So how to type in French accents on your keyboard. I actually have had that exact same question. 5 French magazines to improve your comprehension. Cultural differences. She talks about things that scare the French people. She talks about how to order coffee in a cafe in France, like a local. So here's what I love about this is it's clear to me that this is the kind of content that's not the usual. You know, if it was just like the usual French verb conjugations and, you know, five phrases to say hello in French, you know, that I probably wouldn't have come back. Because I would have thought, well, I've seen that stuff before. Like I can get that on other sites, or I've got other references that I use for those things. But I love that she's really coming up with unique ways to talk about, you know, culture and language and the nuances of living in another country. So that's another thing you want to do is really come up with the kind of content that's going to stick out in your marketplace. That's the kind of thing that other people are not creating, that goes against the usual vein, because the last thing you want is for a new visitor to go, oh, I've seen this, I've been here, I've done that, and then to move on. Now, here's another thing that she does really, really well that had me sticking around is we talk a lot about entering the conversation that's already in the mind of your ideal audience member, of your ideal prospect. And so looking at the phrases right here, there's all kinds of great phrases. You know, feel at home in France definitely spoke to me. She talks about not like a tourist. You know, that's another thing. It's like, well, I want to be seen as somebody. Yes, I'm an American and I'm fine with being an American in France, but I want to be seen as not just a tourist here, not somebody that's just, you know, another loud, doesn't understand the culture. You know, I want to be seen as somebody who is trying to understand and live life a little more like the French and adopt that while I'm here. And, you know, then there's a phrase like a local here too. So all of that is to say that she's using the kinds of phrases that really speak to what's going on in my mind as a person who's just moved to France and wants to know more about how to belong here. What phrases can you say that really speak to that conversation that's naturally going in their mind, so that when they show up, they go, wow, okay, you totally understand what it is that I'm trying to do. Another thing that Geraldine does really well here is that she's very clear about who her audience is. I've already spoken about how, you know, she's very clearly going for intermediate to advanced level speakers. She's not here to teach basic French. She's assuming that you've already had a couple years of French, at least in school, because, you know, in her videos and on her site, she's using some French phrases, and in order to understand what she's saying, you have to have that basic foundation. So she's not trying to, you know, please all people at the same time. She's not trying to teach beginners and then also help, you know, expatriates who already speak some French. She's very clear about that. Now, even to the point of targeting specifically women, you know, with the branding of her site and the type of fonts, you know, she has a more feminine look to her site. Even the title of her site is Like a French Woman. So all those things to say, you know, she's very specifically speaking to women who want to move to France. And, you know, some of her content is about, you know, Valentine's Day and 13 phrases to use with your boyfriend in French. So she's very clear about who her ideal audience member is. Now, despite that, here I am, I'm a guy, and I came across her site, and I still found a lot of stuff that really interested in me. And here's something that's pretty cool, is down here she has a piece of featured content, 5 Ways to Live Like a Frenchman, special episode. So she's kind of giving that, you know, that nod or that shout out to the men too, going, look, you know, you're going to find some stuff for you here as well. But all in all, I'm speaking mostly, you know, very specifically my audience is women. At least that's the impression I get as I look at her site. All right, let's talk about newsletter opt-in here. So right here, they've got she's got this subscribe to receive exclusive content, and there's an arrow. Now, if I mouse over here, I can see that the clicky hand pops up. I think there's supposed to be a button maybe through here or something. So that's one thing that maybe that definitely could be stronger, is a more clear place to click. But if I click on that, I'm brought to a really compelling opt-in offer. So, you know, we talk about list magnets and having something to entice your audience to want to sign up for your email list, because that's how then you can continue to build a relationship with them. And this headline is perfect. Want to avoid all the classic expat mistakes? Yes. Like, I don't think a day goes by that living in France, I don't have this idea of like, ooh, I wonder, like, am I doing this? Like, is this how a French person would go about doing this? You know, because I don't want to make some big gaffe that's going to be culturally embarrassing, or especially I don't want to offend anybody. And so it's nice to know, it's like, oh yeah, okay, she's going to help me avoid those mistakes. Now down here, and it's kind of small, I would make these bigger. She says, present yourself in French. So that's a bonus video. You get these 2 bonuses right here. And this is the one that really caught my attention. 7 steps to your new life in France. Perfect. I mean, that's exactly where I am. And whether I'm somebody who is about to go to France or who has just been in France for a little while, that's definitely going to speak to me, and it did. So I immediately signed up for her email address or her email list to get those. So headline is one of the most important things when it comes to the opt-in, and the title of your bonus is equally important for enticing them in. And you want to really come up with a title that speaks to one of those things they just absolutely need to know, they absolutely want to have. And I think she's done a fantastic job of that here. Now, of course, I think it could be a little bit stronger here on the homepage. Like I said, having a button that shows up there. And one thing that I might do differently if it was my website is, since she already has the latest content down here, I might put the opt-in offer right over here and then have this arrow, pointing over people over to right here, and then have them sign up. She does have a sign up down here, but that was below. I had to scroll down to see it. But really, really strong newsletter opt-in, and a great example of the kind of thing that you want to do with your own website as well. Now let's talk a little bit about format here. You might be wondering, why has she gone with video? Is video what I should be doing? And that's a question I get a lot. Blogging versus audio versus video. And there's no one right answer. It definitely depends on your topic and your audience. And really, ideally, you want to be using a lot of them if you can, because then you're going to be able to reach out to more people. However, it makes a lot of sense for her to have video for her topic. And what I always say is, if you have a topic where visual is important, and in this case it is, because she teaches French phrases, and so she shows those on the screen, and so you can visualize them as you're reading them, as she's saying them, and it really helps solidify that in your brain. So I think that's perfect format for her to use. If you're teaching yoga, people need to be able to see you do the yoga. But if your topic, if it's just going to be you on the screen and there's nothing really visual that's needed, then I would definitely offer an audio version, because a lot of people will want to just take that on the go. But in this case, I think she's chosen a channel, a format that works really, really well. Okay, one more thing I want to talk about is the About page. Your About page is going to be one of the most visited pages on your site. And I think that, she's done a really good job here with her About page of speaking to the audience. This is something a lot of people screw up, because immediately most people's About pages, if you scroll down, you can see she's got her professional bio down here, which is fine, but she's put it at the bottom. So most people's About pages would start out right here. French language, and I'm a French language and lifestyle expert. I help expat women integrate in France. Now that's fine, that's okay stuff, but I love how first thing right here, she's speaking to the desires of the audience. And your About page needs to do the same. It needs to speak more to the desire, what is it your audience wants? You're telling their story here. And if they see themselves in the story here on the About page, they're going to be more likely to sign up for your newsletter and stick around. So she's asking questions, do you want to make French friends? Do you want to understand French conversation at full speed? Do you want to speak French like a native? I'm going yes, yes, yes to all of these. And so already she's got me in a yes mode. And so when I get down here to the opt-in, I'm going to be going, yes, I want more. So very, very stealthy or effective marketing thing that she's done there. And maybe it was just intuitive, or maybe she knew exactly what she was doing. But if you can get people saying yes, 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 when you get to the call to action, they're going to be very, very likely to say yes. She's saying want to start now, want more. And of course I said yes, and I signed up right here. Now again, she's very clearly saying enjoy life like a French woman, and she's very clear about who her audience is. But again, even me as a guy, I found a lot of stuff here that spoke to me, and so I still signed up for her newsletter. So after this, she gives the call to action, very strategically puts the opt-in on the About page. Absolutely something that you should do as well. She has testimonials right here, another opt-in right after the testimonials. So you've got proof, proof, proof. Okay, this is great. This is working for other people. They love it too. Do you want to sign up? Then she starts talking a bit about herself. And one specific thing I love that she says here is, I used to be an expat myself. And that's what you want to do, is you want to make it clear that you know what it's like, that you've been there before. So yes, I'm a French person, so you're going to get real native French tips, but I've also lived abroad, so I know what it's like to be out of your element in a place that you're not familiar with. So that is a very powerful statement. And if you can put just even one phrase like that on your About page, it's going to do a lot to help you connect with your audience. And then she's got other things, awards and stuff, credibility stuff. And then finally, her professional bio and one more opt-in. So a really effective about page. I think there's a lot that we can model by looking at an about page like this. So there you go. I just wanted to share that with you because recently we've been talking a lot with our coaching students about their brands and helping them pick their audience, speak to their audience, come up with a title and a tagline, and soon a website to really attract that audience. And so I thought this would, just because when I hit this site a week ago and I was going through it, I was like, wow, this is a great example. There's a lot of good things I can point out to learn. And, I could speak both as a marketer as well as a target audience member as to what worked really well on this website. So I thought it'd be a great case study to help you find at least one or two things that you can do to make your website more effective, whether it's in the tagline that you choose, whether it's in the content that you feature on your front page, the way you do your about page. Any of these things will make a drastic impact in the number of people that stick around to your site, consume your content, sign up for your email list, build that relationship with you so that down the road you can make more sales and have a bigger impact in people's lives. So choose just one of those things that we've talked about in the video today and go and put it into action right now on your own website, and you'll see results very, very quickly. Thanks for joining me.